Hi, my name is Blanca Villaseñor, and today I'll be discussing why the government should increase the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. I will also inform you that by the government raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour, there will be less poverty, less homelessness, and people will not have to depend on programs like CalFresh. Not having enough money is a major fear for everyone. Therefore, the government should take its measures in order to prevent poverty, homelessness, and reduce the federal budget deficit of the United States. Mommy, I'm hungry. Can you buy me a Happy Meal from McDonald's with some French fries, please? No, sweetie, I do not have enough money. Unfortunately, there are single parents who have gone through a situation like this, not having enough money to buy their kids their favorite meal. Eating out is considered a privilege to those families. The United States should take proper measures such as raising the minimum wage in order to reduce poverty, homelessness, and save as much money from the federal government as possible. In order to inform the audience that by the government raising the minimum wage, it will reduce a wide variety of problems, I have conducted a series of extensive research through academic articles and websites. Today I will discuss with you the 3 major positive outcomes of if the government would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I will first discuss how by raising the minimum wage, the amount of poverty in the United States will decrease. Raising the minimum wage to low income workers will benefit them and their families by being able to make ends meet regarding housing and food security. However, by raising the minimum wage, other workers with no responsibilities or needs will have an easy pathway to getting higher pay. For example, in an article by David Neumark, he states that a single worker adult with 2 children earning the federal minimum wage of $7.25 and working full-time earns about $14,500 a year, well below the U.S. poverty threshold of $19,773 for a family of this size. Back in the year 2009, the minimum wage was $7.25. Seeing the poverty threshold in 2009, the family was in need of a raise in their minimum wage in order to provide for their family and survive. Having 2 children and being a single parent means a lot of financial struggle. For example, according to the USDA, based on the most recent data from the Consumer Expenditure Survey, a family will spend approximately $12,980 annually per child in the middle-income 2-child married couple family. If a married couple will spend $12,980 on one child, imagine having to pay the same amount for 2 children with the income from only one parent. Many single parents struggle to support their children with minimum wage pay in order to pay off housing, food security, and necessities such as clothing, which is why the government should take proper measures to raise the minimum to at least $15 an hour. Additionally, according to a graphics website, the cost to raise a child born in 2001 from birth to an 18-year-old adult is $164,162 for low-income families. This means that low-income families spend around $9,120 per year on one child. If the government were to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, there would be less poverty regarding low-income families who are barely able to support themselves and their children. Some people may say that if the government were to raise the minimum wage, it will only benefit the people who are not in need or do not have any responsibilities. To a small extent, this claim might be true. However, there must be an equal distribution within all workers. Now that I have discussed ways in which poverty will decrease by raising the minimum wage, I will next discuss how by raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour will also decrease homelessness. According to an article, Common Causes of Homelessness, it states that people are often one paycheck away from losing their housing. People who are poor are frequently unable to pay for necessities such as housing, food, childcare, healthcare, and education. Majority of the time, people get paid the minimum wage or even lower, often live from paycheck to paycheck. They are barely getting paid enough to make ends meet regarding rental payments and food security. Additionally, according to an EcoBear article, it states that nearly half the U.S. population arguably is at risk of facing homelessness because they live paycheck to paycheck and lack a suitable emergency fund. Because more than half of the United States population is living from paycheck to paycheck, there is a higher risk of them going homeless because of their lack of money and emergency funds. It is extremely important for the government to take proper measures to decrease the amount of families going homeless by raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Raising the minimum wage will give families the opportunity to save for an emergency. That way, if they ever face a jobless situation, they can have some money to rely on meanwhile they look for another job. Some may say that the main reason why there are a lot of homeless people in the streets is because they have addictions to drugs and alcohol. However, according to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the most common reason for homelessness among individuals and families is the lack of affordable housing. Not having enough money to afford housing is the most common reason why families end up homeless, which is another reason why the government should increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now that I have discussed how by raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour, the amount of poverty and homelessness will decrease, I will next be discussing how by raising the minimum wage, it will help the U.S. economy. According to an article, it states that according to Aaron Pasiti, PhD Associate Professor of Economics at Siena College, raising the minimum wage would help reduce the federal budget deficit by lowering spending on public assistance programs and increasing tax revenues. According to this article, if the government were to increase minimum wage, it will help reduce the budget deficit of the United States. A budget deficit is the financial situation wherein the expenditures exceed the revenues. Raising the minimum wage will help reduce the expenditures of the U.S. in programs such as CalFresh. CalFresh is a program that helps low-income families purchase fresh produce and fresh food. Once the minimum wage increases, the government will not have to invest as much money anymore because people will not have the necessity to apply. Many people say that the government raises the minimum wage, the rent prices also increase. However, according to the article of Governing, it states that this became part of the debate before Los Angeles approved its increase in May. The idea might make sense on paper, says Michael Reed, director of the Institute for Research on Labor and Employment at the University of California, Berkeley. But there's no data showing minimum wage levels have any effect on housing. This proves that if the government were to raise the minimum wage, the rent will not increase like people think will happen. In this presentation, I have informed you that by the government raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, there will be less poverty, less homelessness, and people will not have to depend on programs like CalFresh. In conclusion, I hope you recognize that by the government raising the minimum wage, it will only give opportunities instead of taking them away like people say. I also hope you now understand the little it takes to become homeless in this country. The next time you are thinking of wasting all your paycheck in something like a pair of shoes, Think instead of those families in need and ways you can make the government raise the minimum wage. Thank you.